Hello and a very warm welcome. In this one, I'm going to focus upon those top 5 priorities which you must be considering, which you must be working upon if you are going to take your first attempt in 2025 and if you want to clear the civil service examination in your very first attempt. This is one question which I am now getting increasingly from the first timers and generally उनका question ये होता है कि सर 2025 के लिए prepare कर रहे हैं तो कौन कौन सी चीज़ों का ध्यान रखना चाहिए, इसकी स्ट्रैटेजी क्या होनी चाहिए एंड on those lines the questions are coming. So this video is in response to those questions which I have been receiving on email or which I have been receiving through students who meet me in person, and this video tries to focus upon those 5 things which you have to keep in mind if you are very serious about 2025 attempt. Watch this video until the end because there are a couple of very interesting tips which will be coming throughout the video, and to make the maximum use of this entire conversation, you should be watching the video till the very end. So first and foremost, let us talk about who is a first timer. For the purposes of this video, the first timer is someone who has not yet appeared in the examination as yet. जिसने अभी तक कोई attempt नहीं लिया है. You might be preparing for maybe 2-3 months till now, maybe for a bit longer, or maybe you are just starting right now. Even if you are starting right now, let me tell you very clearly that you have a very fair chance of clearing the examination that is going to take place in 2025. Therefore, without feeling nervous about how the examination is going to turn out for you, you should be starting to prepare in all your seriousness. That is something which will keep you in a good standing with respect to 2025 examination. There is nothing to feel nervous about. You have sufficient time to prepare very satisfactorily. But for the purposes of this video, I am also considering those people as first timer who might have taken one attempt at the civil service examination, but they have not been able to clear the prelim. For one or the other reason, if you have taken an attempt and if you have not cleared the prelim, you are also going to be included as a first timer for the purposes of this video, because you are going to need those 5 strategic points which you cannot ignore for 2025. Now, why first attempters? Why your first attempt is going to be most important attempt? So you are already a first timer, so you know what is going on in your mind. But if as a teacher, if I can share my assessment, then I would like to say first and foremost that the first attempt is the one where you feel most enthusiastic about the civil service examination. And since you are enthusiastic, this is when you are putting in your maximum effort, maximum effort. After this, if God forbid something goes wrong, perhaps your enthusiasm will be a little less. When you will be putting in effort, there will be a sense of, I have been there, I have done that, do I still need to do this? So perhaps your effort, rather than being 100%, will become 95%, 97%. In some cases, I have seen it dipping even beyond 90%. So the effort part is the maximum when you are in your first attempt, because that is when you are most enthusiastic. And this is also the attempt when you are most optimistic, most cheerful. And optimism does wonders, whether we agree or not, but optimism does wonders to your performance. So a combination of optimism, fresh, raw energy, which makes you put in a lot of effort, and the enthusiasm, this is such a vital combination. I would say such a deadly combination that this makes you most ideally placed with respect to the examination, provided you know what to do and how to do. अगर आपको ये पता है कि क्या करना है, कैसे करना है, और अगर आप अपने decisions को timely लेते हैं, and if you are executing those decisions in a timely manner, you are very well placed to face and clear the 2025 examination. Now, what are those things which I would really want you to focus upon? Let us start this thing. Your priority number one is that you have to make an 18-month plan. From now, at the time of recording this video, that is early March 2024, you have exactly 18 months to go until your main examination of 2025. The 18-month plan needs to be there with you. And when you are making a plan, there are certain things which the UPSC expects from you. I'm going to discuss those things as well. But first and foremost, what you have to do is to go through the syllabus very, very carefully. I often say first timers should go through the syllabus at least by spending about 10 hours time solely going through the entire syllabus. Go through the prelim syllabus, which is very, very small, but still it will be helpful if you go through the syllabus word by word. You underline every key word of your syllabus, and as such, the main examination syllabus is pretty long. In the general studies part, it is pretty long. It is divided into 4 papers. Each paper has got so many topics. Go through each and every word, try to make sense what is it demanding from you, and give it the time that it deserves. Approximately it will take you 10 hours, and I will recommend that you should be dividing these 10 hours into 5 sittings of 2 hours each. 2 hours of very intense focus on the syllabus, trying to analyze the syllabus. क्या क्या दिया हुआ है, मुझे क्या क्या चीज़ें आती हैं और क्या क्या चीज़ें बिल्कुल पता नहीं कि क्या है और कैसे करना है. But still, it will pay you very richly if you are going through the syllabus carefully. 10 hours is what you are going to spend upon it. If at this stage आप optional के भी syllabus को देखना चाहते हैं, please add another 4 hours to this so that you can see the optional subject syllabus equally carefully. Now you have a fairly good idea of what the syllabus looks like. आपको क्या-क्या चीज़ें पता है, मतलब किन चीज़ों से आप familiar हैं और कौन-कौन सी चीज़ें आपको करनी होंगी. Now that you have clarified that thing, next thing you should be going through the previous year questions. At this stage, what you need to do is to go through just 5 years of question paper. At a later stage, for the purposes of practice, for the purposes of answer writing, it is possible that you will have to go through even 10 or even 15 years of previous year's question, but not at this point of time. To get a sense of what kind of questions, what kind of topics are touched upon, what kind of questions are being framed on the topic, because oftentimes what happens that the topic looks pretty straight, but the way the UPSC asks question, that makes the topic a bit tricky, a bit challenging. Therefore, you need to go through at least 5 years of question paper. That will be highly beneficial. That will help you understand what is the scope of the syllabus. Once you have done these 2 exercises, now move to the third step to honestly assess how much input you can give. Because this is the thing that will decide whether you should be preparing for 2025 or you should be preparing for 2026. Here the purpose is not just to prepare for the examination, but to actually clear the examination. And if you are preparing for 2025, ideally speaking, you should have 10 hours available for studies. Now, how you are going to take out these 10 hours will entirely depend on the life circumstances that you presently are in. But these 10 hours are by and large non-negotiable. This will include the number of hours that you are going to spend in the coaching classes also. If you decide to take a coaching class, and if you join a coaching class, whether offline or online, the the 10 hours will also include the time that you are giving in the coaching classes, but at least you should be having 10 hours to study. So if you are already in college, you will have to ask yourself, can I give these 10 hours on a daily basis? If you are in a job, again you will have to ask, if you cannot afford 10 hours, but if you can afford 8 hours, try to work with that. Maybe at a later stage of preparation, you will like to add more number of hours. If it is falling below 8 hours, ideally speaking, you should be thinking of 2026 examination. I am not here to discourage anyone, but I am just trying to give you a realistic picture of the competition. There are enough number of candidates who are going to put in 10 high quality undiluted hours into their preparation, at least 25 days a month. They are going to outcompete anyone who are lacking in input. So honestly assess your input. That will give you clarity. as to which year you should be targeting, whether it should be 2025 or 2026. And I hope you understand that I'm trying to give you clarity in this rather than trying to discourage anyone. Now, also try to assess your support and guidance. Like, are you going to take a coaching? Do you have access to some senior who has cleared the examination, or at least someone who has gotten an interview call? They will be able to guide you quite a lot, even if you are not going for a coaching. But if you have no one to guide you, no one to support you, in that case, perhaps you should consider taking a coaching if you are a first timer. It can be online coaching. You do not need to necessarily go to a classroom coaching. It can be online coaching, but if you feel that you are going to manage it by self-studies alone, by all means, go for that. It is going to be your choice, but at this stage only try to assess your support and guidance availability. Once you have assessed everything, then you should sit down and make a plan. Ideally, it will help you if at the time of planning, you are taking somebody's help who understands this examination a little better than you do, because after all, you are a first timer. And here I would say that you should rather be talking to some teacher, some senior, or maybe you should be watching some YouTube videos from well-established teachers or someone who has already cleared the examination and what they have to say about planning. And when you are making a plan, you should not overdo going through the different pieces of advice because it will ultimately confuse you. And also, when you are watching the YouTube videos to get a little sense of how your plan should look like, make sure that you are watching these videos with pen and paper and you are taking notes while you are going through these videos. Only then these videos will be meaningfully contributing to your plan making. Else, you will watch the video, most of the things you will forget, and eventually you will not be having that level of clarity with respect to your planning जो आपका expectation था. So make sure that you are doing these couple of things. Do not watch too many videos. First, when you are watching the videos, make sure these videos are from someone who's experienced in teaching for the UPSC, someone who has cleared the civil service examination, and do watch these videos with pen and paper. And also, you should know when you should stop watching these videos. Once you have made your plan, then again, plan making videos are going to serve no purpose. If anything, they may end up confusing you also. So I will highly recommend that go for these videos only up to a point. After that, just go ahead and implement your plan. So once you have made your plan, you should stop watching these videos. Broadly, how will your plan look like? So your entire 18-month period can at least be divided into three parts. On your screen right now, you have got phase one of your plan. In phase one, which starts at this point in time, that is March 2024, and it runs until the last day of February of 2025. Here, your focus should be to cover the entire general studies, ideally for prelim and mains. Let us say कि अगर कुछ रह भी जाता है तो it should be such areas of general studies which are important exclusively for the main examination. For example, social issues, social justice, maybe a bit of ethics, integrity, and aptitude. But do not try to leave the entire ethics, integrity, and aptitude for coverage after the prelim because it will overburden you. So do not do that. Now, the focus is to cover the foundational areas first. The foundational areas are those areas of general studies which are important for both prelim as well as the main examination. That will include Indian history, Indian polity, Indian economy, geography, both Indian and world geography, including physical geography, environmental ecology, general science and technology, plus current affairs. These are some of the foundational areas. I would suggest that couple of more areas should be treated as foundational area. Like disaster management, you should be treating as an extension of environmental ecology. In a similar fashion, you should be treating international relation also as a part of foundational area. A general understanding is going to be highly beneficial in international relation, even in the prelim examination. Therefore, I would suggest that these foundational areas should be prioritized. And once you have developed a good command over the foundational areas, you should be going for such areas which are more important for the main examination. Yet, for the sake of having lightheadedness, lightheaded state after the prelim examination, I will highly recommend that you should do those areas also before the prelim. For example, internal security or governance, social issues, and such areas, most of the ethics, integrity, and aptitude, if not entirely. So you should be doing that. So from now until February end, try to finish your general studies. So you should be joining a coaching class which has a clear-cut class plan that promises to cover these areas by end of February, because you are starting in March of 2024. So you have ample 11 months to cover all of these. And any good coaching institute, any experienced set of teachers will be able to do justice to the entire syllabus in this span of time, or at least 90% of this syllabus. Second is that if you are joining a coaching class, try to see if they are prioritizing the coverage of foundational areas first or not. Ideally, the foundational areas should be covered first, and then the mains exclusive areas should be covered. It should not be a jumbled up coverage. And when you are covering general studies, make sure that by end of February of 2025, you have written at least 500 answers for the main examination. It looks too much, but it is not. I am basically asking you that out of these 300, or not 300, actually out of these 340 days that you are having in your hand, or 350 days that you are having in your hand, out of these many days, only 250 days you have to write two answers a day. The answer can be something related to Indian polity, some day it can be related to science and technology, some day it can be related to Indian economy, some day it can be related to history, something or the other. As your general studies is progressing, every day try to write two answers. And out of those two answers, try to write one answer from a static area and one answer from a current based area like international relation, Indian economy, science and technology, so on and so forth. So on 250 days, out of these 330, 40, 50 days that you are still having in your hands, try to write at least two answers a day. Or I would say just write two answers, not even at least, write two answers a day. And at the same time, you have to solve 10 multiple choice question every day. The source can be anything. Just get hold of PYQ, just get hold of some test papers, whichever coaching you are following, just request them to give you some practice questions. But every day, try to solve 10 questions. It hardly takes any time. There are some very nice online initiatives also, which give you a limited number of questions on everyday basis. What happens that these questions help you understand the same topic within the context of a multiple choice question. So it is all right to understand a topic. It is all right to get a hang of the key facts of that topic. But at the same time, when you see the same topic being asked within framework of an MCQ, it is altogether a different beast. You have to develop that level of familiarity and then comfort to do well in the prelim examination. So I would highly recommend that you should have gone through 3000 multiple choice question by the end of February of 2025. That will actually make sure that you are very comfortable with respect to the questions being asked in this format, which is so vital to crack the prelim examination. A lot of students who are very good in their understanding and knowledge, they somehow do not develop that comfort with multiple choice questions. मैंने ये बहुत देखा है. सो इसलिए बहुत ज़रूरी है कि आप कम से कम वो कंफर्ट एकदम से बिगनिंग से अपने प्रिपरेशन में वो डेवलप करना शुरू कर दें. और डेवलप करने का एक ही तरीका है, और वो तरीका ये है कि द मोर यू सॉल्व द बेटर यू गेट. ओके, सो ट्राई टू सॉल्व दोज 10 क्वेश्चंस अ डे. इट विल बी अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ अ चैलेंज कि वो क्वेश्चंस कहाँ से मिलें, लेकिन आपको कम से कम एक वीक अपनी स्टडी प्लान के अकॉर्डिंग, एक वीक के क्वेश्चन आपके पास हमेशा एडवांस में रहने चाहिए. ट्राई टू बाई द टेस्ट पेपर्स फ्रॉम द मार्केट, ट्राई टू आइडेंटिफाई दोज ऑनलाइन सोर्सेज जहाँ पे इस तरह के क्वेश्चन पब्लिश होते हैं. इफ़ यू आर टेकिंग कोचिंग, talk to your teacher to provide you such questions so that वो practice चल रही है. And remember, you will again have to look for sources for the essay type questions which are going to give you practice for the main examination. Again, you will have to look for them so that you can practice those questions. Now the point is कि जब आप मेंस के आंसर लिखोगे तो उसको चेक भी कराना पड़ेगा. Now if you are having access to a teacher or mentor who can check it for you, it's great. But if you do not have access to teacher or mentor who can check it for you, at least try to watch some videos on how to write answers, or and at least try to find some model answers on those questions, and just check how a particular standard source is covering the same topic within its content plan or something. So जो भी ये standard source है वहाँ भी देखो कि ये topic को कैसे treat किया गया है. थोड़े मॉडल आंसर्स देख करके वो समझ डेवलप करो. एंड इफ यू हैव समवन हु कैन चेक योर आंसर, नथिंग लाइक दिस. तो ये तो हो गई बात कि अभी से लेके फरवरी 2025 के एंड तक आपने जनरल स्टडीज में क्या करना है. बट नाउ वी कम टू ऑप्शनल सब्जेक्ट. आइडियली स्पीकिंग ऑप्शनल सब्जेक्ट स्टार्टिंग नाउ, it should be ending within 6 to 7 months. Go slowly because you have to study the optional subject along with general studies. It cannot be either or, otherwise general studies will lag behind. So go slowly, give a limited amount of time, 5 hours a day on the optional subject, not more than that. Out of which maybe 2 hours you are attending the classes, 2 to 3 hours you are doing self-study. If your classes are going for 3 hours a day, then maybe 2 hours you are doing self-study. So optional subject ideally will take 6 to 7 months to get covered very nicely. And in the course of these 6 to 7 months, try to write about 600 answers. Because in any optional subject, I cannot say this for mathematics, maybe physics and statistics, but for every other optional subject, the entire subject can be reduced to a set of 500 to 600 potential question areas. So when you have the entire optional subject reduced to 500 to 600 potential question areas, why not prepare their answer? So once you have studied the topic, then you have the right understanding, you have the right facts. Why not write an answer out of that? When you write an answer, you exactly know how to apply your concept and knowledge within the framework of a question. And these answers will serve as your personal notes, and these answers will be helping you revise your coverage very, very fast. If you can revise faster, you can actually revise for several times. Therefore, prioritize making notes. Okay. So 500 to 600 answers भी आपको लिखा होना चाहिए. And you should have reviewed your entire set of answers at least once. Because your optional subject coverage is going to get over by say September of 2024, and still up until the month of February end 2025, you are allocating some time to your optional subject. Therefore, you should be able to revise all your handmade answers at least once. मेरा guess है कि you will be able to do it for 2 times. If you are able to do it for 2 times, that will be absolutely great. तो वो करने की आप कोशिश करिएगा. And that will be all. एक चीज जो यहाँ पे लिखी नहीं है, but I should be telling you this thing very clearly, कि जब एक बार ऑप्शनल की कोचिंग या ऑप्शनल की तैयारी आपकी सितंबर तक फर्स्ट राउंड की खत्म हो जाए, उसके बाद आप ऑप्शनल के ड्यूरेशन को कम कर देना. राइट नाउ आई एम रिकमेंडिंग 5 hours a day, बट उसके बाद यू कैन रिड्यूस द टाइम दैट यू आर allocating to the optional subject. You can reduce it to up to even 2 hours. So where will these extra 3 hours or maybe at least extra 2 hours go? You should be investing that time in developing comfort over CSAT. CSAT should not be delayed until a late point of time. What will happen that you will start fearing this area, and a lot of candidates are unable to clear the civil service prelim because of their lack of preparation in CSAT. Do not let this happen to yourself. And one of the certain ways to do better in CSAT is to start preparing early when you are not really feeling the pressure of CSAT examination. So start preparing early. If you are not good with certain areas, try to join some kind of classes, even if it is online. That will at least give you the initial understanding, and that will give you a good head start in CSAT area. So by the time you reach the end of February 2025, you would have covered your CSAT as well. So ये सारी चीजें हो जाएंगी। उसके बाद के जो हमारे 3 महीने होते हैं ना, those 3 months from 1st of March 2025 until the prelim of 2025, so March, April and May, that should be themed around immersion into the prelim preparation. So that is the prelims immersion phase. So here you have to revise everything that you have studied, but now you do not have to revise those things जो आपने मेंस के लिए की है, like social justice. Right now you should not be revising. In a similar fashion, you do not need to really revise internal security, except the organizations related to internal security, because organizations related to internal security, they very well form a part of general awareness in जनरल स्टडीज प्रीलिम. सो उतना तो आपको पता ही होना चाहिए. इन अ सिमिलर फैशन, इवन इफ यू डू नॉट डू गवर्नेंस, then that is all right. Social issues, if you do not do, it is all right. But do not ignore the government initiatives in the recent years, because that can be asked to you as a part of current affairs. So आप सेलेक्टिव हो सकते हो कि फाउंडेशनल एरियाज तो अच्छे से कर लिए, जो हमारे 6 फाउंडेशनल एरियाज हैं, लाइक हिस्ट्री, ज्योग्राफी, पॉलिटी, इकोनॉमी, साइंस एंड टेक एंड एनवायरमेंटल इकोलॉजी, उसको तो अच्छे से की. लेकिन कुछ और एरियाज हैं जो मेंस एक्सक्लूसिव हैं, वहां से कुछ ऐसे टॉपिक्स आप ले सकते हैं जो कि आपको लगता है या आपको आपके टीचर ने एडवाइस किया है कि जो प्रीलिम के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट हो सकते हैं. लाइक आपको डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट नहीं करना, बट एट द सेम टाइम यू नीड टू नो अबाउट नेशनल डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट एक्ट. You need to know about National Disaster Management Authority, National Disaster Response Force, certain frameworks related to disaster management. These are the things that you are anyway expected to know, even at the level of the prelim examination. I have already told you that in internal security, you will be required to cover the organizations associated with internal security. That much is expected from you. In a similar fashion, in social issues and social justice, the recent policy initiatives, the recent schemes, etc., you anyway need to know. So the idea is that you have to carry out very intense prelim oriented revision, and this will include those 6 foundational areas plus current plus the selected areas from the mains coverage as well, because that is going to be required. Then you have to revise every single question जो अभी तक आपने solve किया है, because even if you have solved a set of questions once, you are likely to forget. ये सबके साथ होता है that you will be forgetting and you are likely to commit mistakes even in those questions जो पहली बार आपने correct किया था. Therefore, it is very very important to revise that. So in those final 3 months, इन द रन अप टू द प्रीलिम एग्जामिनेशन, आपको उन चीजों को भी रिवाइज करना पड़ेगा. फिर पीवाईक्यू अगर आपने सॉल्व किया है, लाइक एज अ पार्ट ऑफ दीज 3000 क्वेश्चंस, तो पीवाईक्यू को भी रिवाइज करना होगा. अगर नहीं किया है तो दिस इज द टाइम टू इमर्स योरसेल्फ इनटू एटलीस्ट 10 years पीवाईक्यू. मार्केट में कुछ बहुत अच्छी बुक्स अवेलेबल हैं जिनको कि आप पीवाईक्यू एरिया वाइज सेग्रीगेटेड आप वहां पे मिल जाएगा आपको, कि जहाँ पे पीवाईक्यू एकदम कायदे से एरिया वाइज दिया हुआ है. आप उन पीवाईक्यू को कम से कम 2 बार प्रैक्टिस कर लेना, 10 years के पीवाईक्यू को. फाइनली सीसैट की प्रैक्टिस करनी होगी. आइडियली एवरी डे यू शुड बी सॉल्विंग 30 to 40 क्वेश्चंस फॉर सीसैट, एंड यू शुड बी चेकिंग योरसेल्फ, यू शुड बी रेक्टिफाइंग दोज एरर्स कि सेम एरर या सेम टाइप के एरर दोबारा आपसे नहीं हो रहे हों. And you should be trying to hit 110 in your practice sessions. That will be very, very important. So that is the prelims immersion. Phase 3 is all about the mains immersion, right? इन दिस जनरल स्टडीज की रिवीजन करनी होगी. सिलेबस बहुत बड़ा होगा और आपने अभी तक जो नोट्स बनाए हैं उन नोट्स को आप रिवाइज करेंगे. जनरल स्टडीज के बहुत सारे टॉपिक होंगे जिनको अपडेट की ज़रूरत होगी, बिकॉज मार्च, अप्रैल और मई में आप जितना अपडेट कर सकते थे, प्रीलिम्स के फोकस की वजह से यू हैव नॉट बीन एबल टू अपडेट दैट. सो नाउ इट इज़ द टाइम टू अपडेट. I would suggest खुद से मत करना. There are enough material which are available in the market. There are some crash courses also which you can consider joining, but try not updating it all by yourself, because in 3 months time so much of update would have accumulated कि वो परेशानी हो जाएगी आपके लिए. नेक्स्ट इज ऑप्शनल सब्जेक्ट का रिवीजन. आइडियली स्पीकिंग ऑप्शनल सब्जेक्ट का रिवीजन आपसे पर डे 4 to 5 आवर्स डिमांड करेगा, लेकिन वो इतना हाई यील्ड रिवीजन होगा कि आप अपने ऑप्शनल सब्जेक्ट में 300 प्लस ला करके उस 4 to 5 आवर्स पर डे को बहुत अच्छे से जस्टिफाई कर सकते हो. और अगर हम परसेंटेज की बात करें तो हमारे पूरे मेन एग्जामिनेशन के स्कीम में कोई भी ऐसा पार्ट नहीं है जहां पे आप 60% प्लस ला सकते हो, एक्सेप्ट योर ऑप्शनल सब्जेक्ट. देयरफॉर यू नीड टू गिव गुड अमाउंट ऑफ टाइम टू ऑप्शनल सब्जेक्ट. मेरा एक्सपेक्टेशन ये है कि बिटवीन प्रीलिम एंड मेन यू शुड बी isolating yourself for at least 12 hours, and out of those 12 hours 4 to 5 hours should go to optional subject. Remaining 7 hours go to general studies. Lot of students overemphasize on their general studies because the syllabus is large, therefore it is very tempting to overdo general studies. Still, the score in general studies never goes beyond 50%. In most of the cases, I would say in 95% of the cases, it never goes beyond 50% at all. Most of the scores in general studies, they hover between 40 and 50%. लेकिन होता क्या है कि उस लॉपसाइडेड अप्रोच की वजह से हमारा ऑप्शनल सब्जेक्ट भी उतना अच्छा नहीं प्रिपेयर हो पाता, और ऑप्शनल सब्जेक्ट में हम जितने मार्क्स ला सकते थे वो हम नहीं निकाल पाते. सो दैट इज समथिंग जो हमें शुरू से प्लान करना होगा उसके लिए कि हम ऑप्शनल सब्जेक्ट को जितना टाइम चाहिए उतना दे रहे हैं. अगर आपने अपने ऑप्शनल सब्जेक्ट में आंसर्स बना लिए हैं 500 to 600, देन आइडियली स्पीकिंग यू शुड बी नीडिंग टू ओनली रिवाइज योर आंसर्स. Books, study material, all of them are very inefficient resources to revise from because they are bulky. You can never revise them cover to cover. But if you have made your answers, the answers are very, very crisp and efficient resources to revise. Then minimum you should be joining optional and general studies ke test series, and minimum 80% of the test you should actually go and appear. It is a real thing that most of the students join test series, but then they do not attend the test. And they are mostly in search for model answers, they are mostly in search for discussion sessions, but there is no substitute to actually sitting down, writing the test, and trying to understand how you are doing, how much you are able to recall, how fast you are writing, what was the gap between what you think you could have written and what you actually wrote. All of these are eye openers. The sooner you realize this, the better you will be able to rectify. If you are not exposed to the reality, you will never get an opportunity to rectify them because आपको पता ही नहीं है कि कहाँ आप लैग कर रहे हैं. तो टेस्ट सीरीज सिर्फ ज्वाइन नहीं करनी हमें, बल्कि हमें टेस्ट सीरीज में कम से कम 80% ऑफ द टेस्ट को फेस भी करना है. And in this span of 100 days, June, July, August, and then half of September, you should be trying to write 50 essays. And you should be trying to get at least 20 out of 50 essays evaluated by someone who knows a thing or two about how to write good essays. This is again one area where you can easily score 50% plus. So all such areas where you can score 50% plus, you should be kind of doubling down your effort upon. So this is the time to focus on essay also. Now mind it, among all the 4 papers of general studies, somehow ethics, integrity and aptitude is having a rather liberal marking system. And there is a reason behind it. Rather than going into the reason, you should know that this is one paper that can give you very good returns. Therefore, not only you have to do this area well, but here writing practice will help you a lot in the direction of putting your thoughts, putting your arguments in a coherent manner. Without practice, you will not be able to put your arguments nicely. And if you have not put your arguments nicely, it will not be translating into a score. So this is the mains immersion. So I hope now you very well understand कि हमें क्या करना है और कैसे करना है. So ये हमारा plan होगा. Now we are done with the planning and now we move to the next part. Here we are. Second priority, decide your optional and decide it fast and decide it wisely. So when you are deciding your optional subject, these are few things mentioned in green you should be considering. And the things which are mentioned in red, pink actually, you should never be paying any attention to them. Most of the candidates select their optional subject by focusing on the things they are not supposed to focus upon, and they pay a price for that. So first and foremost, see if this subject interests you or not. For example, history may be a great subject, but what if you don't have any interest for that? For example, commerce and accountancy may be a very scoring optional. What if you don't have an interest? If you don't have an interest, you cannot work with this subject for almost 15 months. Out of the entire 18 months, there was only a span of 3 months, March, April, and May, when you are not touching your optional subject. Other than these 3 months, all other time, in one way or the other, you are also engaging with your optional subject, apart from general studies. You cannot work on something for 15 months if you have no interest. So get real and first and foremost find a subject where you have at least a trace of interest. If you have interest, try to validate that interest by reading some basic books. When you read introductory chapter of any subject, the subject looks very interesting. But only when you move beyond the introductory chapter, the second chapter, third chapter, fourth chapter, then you actually start getting a clearer sense of two things. One, if you have real interest or not, and second, if you have aptitude for this subject or not. Okay. For example, as a subject, economics is a very, very interesting subject. But when you go deep in economics, then what happens that it depends on the mathematical calculations and all of that quite a bit. So someone who wants to do very well in economics has to have certain degree of comfort with mathematical concepts also. So aptitude for the subject is also something that will be counting, which is mentioned as the third point. So go through 3, 4, 5 chapters of a basic book, and if you can still find some alignment between the subject and your existing set of aptitude, it is a great subject for you. And if you find it interesting, that is a bonus. Then you have to also look for the background. This is not something very strict, but still if you have a background in a subject, you will not be starting from zero. But even if you do not have a background in subject, for example, you find history very interesting. You feel that you have an aptitude for it also, and you are an engineer. Should you take it or not? Of course you should take it, because you have two out of three very important things. You do not have background, but then you have interest, you also have aptitude. Same goes for you may be a doctor, but what if you are more interested towards, let's say, political science? And you also have an aptitude for this. You have read couple of basic books and you have validated that you have some aptitude for that. Go for it. By all means, you go for it. But if you have a background, that is an added advantage. Next is material availability. There are certain subjects where material availability may be an issue. But for most of the optional subject, this is not an issue. Most of the optional subject, because all the optional subjects which are there are being taught in one or the other Indian universities, actually most of the Indian universities. And if it is being taught at college level, there is definitely going to be no dearth of standard books. But if resources are also available specifically for the civil service examination, which are a little concise, which are a little better aligned with the UPSC syllabus, nothing like it. So material availability is something you should check. And finally, availability of guidance, because you know what, guidance at one or the other stage will prove to be vital. Even if you are preparing entirely on your own, but perhaps for on how to write answer, or maybe to get feedback, or maybe to, understand a couple of very tricky concepts, or who knows, you might need help for the entire subject if you are wanting to get a good shot in the very first attempt. So availability of guidance will matter a lot. So look for these factors, but the first three are very, very important. What you should not be deciding your choice of optional subject on. So ये कुछ चीजें हैं जिसके बेसिस पे आपने ऑप्शनल सब्जेक्ट को नहीं डिसाइड करना. अनफॉर्चुनेटली लॉट ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स डिसाइड देयर ऑप्शनल सब्जेक्ट ऑन दीज बेसिस. Popularity, just because lot of people are taking it, you also become one in many. ये तो एक इतना बड़ा ट्रैप है, बिकॉज ऑटोमेटिकली इन दैट सब्जेक्ट द बार इज वेरी हाई. बहुत सारे लोग ले रहे हैं, and here the crowd is crowding effect is there. So to stand out in crowd, you have to perform at a significantly high level. So popularity. दूसरा, purported overlap with general studies. ये बहुत easy है कहना कि देखो इससे जनरल स्टडीज का पेपर 1 हो जाएगा, इससे जनरल स्टडीज का पेपर 2 हो जाएगा. देखो जनरल स्टडीज का फ्लेवर ही अलग है और ऑप्शनल का फ्लेवर अलग है. अगर ऑप्शनल को एक्स्ट्रापोलेट करते हो जनरल स्टडीज में, you will be having a disastrous answer in general studies. And if you keep yourself at the level of general studies और उस लेवल पे आप ऑप्शनल में लिखोगे तो वहां पे डिजास्टर हो गई. सो इवन दो ओवरलैप इज देयर, बट प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड कि ये ओवरलैप के बावजूद आपको अलग से प्रिपेयर करना पड़ेगा. इसलिए purported overlap with general studies is more or less a kind of, I would say, a misconception which is sometimes propagated by a lot of institutes themselves. Then alleged scoring potential. There is no subject that is a scoring or non-scoring by itself. It is your performance that will make it a scoring or non-scoring. So basically the examiner scores your performance, not the optional subject. Say you are a psychology student, so examiner does not sit with the mindset कि अच्छा इसने psychology ले ली तो I have to penalize. आपको लगता है कि कोई भी एग्जामिनर ऐसे सोच के बैठेगा? कभी भी नहीं बैठेगा. वो आपका आंसर देख रहा है. अगर आपने बुरे आंसर लिखे वो आपको बहुत बुरे मार्क्स देगा, और अगर आपने अच्छे आंसर लिखे तो आपको बहुत अच्छे मार्क्स देगा. सो एग्जामिनर इज बेसिकली एग्जामिनिंग यू. ही इज नॉट, ही और शी इज नॉट एग्जामिनिंग द सब्जेक्ट. वो तो उसी सब्जेक्ट के हैं, सब्जेक्ट को क्या ही एग्जामिन करेंगे, वो आपको एग्जामिन करने बैठे हैं. तो कोई भी ऑप्शनल स्कोरिंग वगैरह नहीं होता और कोई भी ऑप्शनल नॉन स्कोरिंग नहीं होता. ये एकदम से मार्केटिंग गिमिक है. देन इमेजिनरी शॉर्ट सिलेबस. कोई भी सब्जेक्ट ऐसा नहीं है कि आप 2 महीने में कर लोगे, और कोई भी सब्जेक्ट ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको 1 साल 2 साल लग जाएंगे. कोई भी ऐसा सब्जेक्ट नहीं है. वो बस कहने वाली बात होती है. एंड एवरी सब्जेक्ट, बिकॉज द सब्जेक्ट हैज टू बी डन एट द लेवल ऑफ ग्रेजुएशन, सो एवरी सब्जेक्ट विल नीड, if you are a fresher, will need at least 5 to 7 months डिपेंडिंग कि सब्जेक्ट में करंट के एरियाज कितने हैं वगैरह वगैरह. And lastly, so-called easy subject. Easy is based on your interest and aptitude. मेरा easy subject आपके लिए बहुत difficult हो सकता है, और आपका easy subject मेरे लिए बहुत difficult हो सकता है. So there is no such thing as easy subject. So जो नीचे वाली बातें हैं, do not fall for them if you want to do well in this examination. You all are grown up, so behave like grown up people. Now we move to the third part. Once you have made your plan, once you have decided your optional subject, now you have to make your execution plan. और जब आप execution plan बनाते हैं, तो first and foremost make hierarchical execution plan. सबसे पहले अगले 12 months में क्या करना है, वो सबसे ऊपर रहेगा, जो कि हमारा एनुअल प्लान हो गया. आपके टारगेट्स बहुत क्लियर हैं कि मुझे पूरी जीएस करनी है. अगर पूरी नहीं भी करनी है तो मेंस के 5-10% एरिया को मैं छोड़ सकता हूँ, बाकी तो मुझे करना है. राइट. ऑप्शनल मुझे सितंबर तक कर लेनी है, सो दैट 5 मंथ्स मुझे ऑप्शनल के साथ थोड़ा रिवीजन का टाइम मिल जाए. ऑप्शनल में भी मैंने बिल्कुल ही क्वांटिटेटिव टारगेट सेट कर दिए कि 500 to 600 हैंडमेड आंसर्स होने चाहिए बेस्ड ऑन योर स्टडीज. ओके. एंड गुड क्वालिटी आंसर्स ऑफ कोर्स. सिमिलरली जनरल स्टडीज में भी आपने पढ़ना है, अपने नोट्स बनाने हैं, और अबाउट 500 आंसर्स बनाने हैं, और कम से कम उनमें अगर 50-60 आंसर्स पे भी फीडबैक मिल जाए, नथिंग लाइक इट. And when you are going through feedback, never commit the same mistake twice. Always go to your teacher with a new mistake, not with the older mistake. Expectation is कि एक बार आपको बता दिया कि this is your mistake, आप उसको रिपीट नहीं कर रहे हो. राइट. उसके बाद क्या है कि आपने 3000 एमसीक्यू भी सॉल्व करने हैं. तो एक ये एनुअल प्लान हो गया आपका. उसको मंथ में ब्रेक करने की कोशिश करो. राइट. कि अगर ये मेरा एनुअल प्लान है, ये मेरा सिलेबस है, तो इस महीने और इस महीने मेरा ये हो जाना चाहिए बाय गिविंग दिस मच टाइम, ये भी मेंशन करना जरूरी कि कितना टाइम देना है। फिर इसके साथ साथ इस महीने मेरा ऑप्शनल भी इतना हो जाना चाहिए। अगर आप कोचिंग कर रहे हो तो कोचिंग से आपको एक क्लियर प्लान जरूर मिलना चाहिए। उसके बाद ऐसे करके ना आपके पास एक एनुअल के बाद मंथ वाइज प्लान होना चाहिए। लेकिन उसके बाद का जो प्लान है वो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट प्लान है, दैट प्लान इज वीकली प्लान, क्योंकि एग्जीक्यूशन हैपेंस इन वीकली प्लान, राइट। जब आप ये लिखते हो ना कि मंडे को इवनिंग में 8 to 10 मुझे इंडियन पॉलिटी पढ़नी है, देन यू स्टडी इंडियन पॉलिटी। जब आप कहते हो मुझे रोज 2 घंटे इंडियन पॉलिटी पढ़नी है, इट डज नॉट हैपन। आप मॉर्निंग में डिसाइड करोगे कि मुझे दोपहर में करना है, दोपहर में डिसाइड करोगे कि अच्छा शाम में करना है, पूरा भी दिन पड़ा हुआ है, एंड दैट डज नॉट हैपन। दैट इज अ श्योर शॉर्ट वे टू फॉल ऑफ ट्रैक। So what you have to basically do is to make a weekly plan and try to allocate time exactly to a particular work, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 9 a.m. till 11:30 a.m. I am doing my optional subject, right? If you can put it even more specifically, आज ये चैप्टर करना है, कल ये चैप्टर करना है, ऐसे करके, राइट। दैट इज कॉल्ड टाइम बॉक्सिंग, कि आपने टाइम को एक बॉक्स में डिफाइन कर दिया कि मंडे को इतने बजे से इतने बजे ही मुझे ऑप्शनल पढ़ना है, एंड व्हेन द टाइम गेट्स ओवर, do not do not like stretch that to finish the chapter। रह गया अगले दिन कर लेना, because that will make you faster on the next day। वो आपके दिमाग में एक नैगिंग सेंस रहेगा कि अरे मैं कल करना चाहता था, ये हुआ नहीं, तो आज मुझे थोड़ा सा ज्यादा टाइम देना चाहिए, या थोड़ा तेजी से पढ़ना चाहिए, तो आप तेजी से पढ़ोगे। सो एक टाइम बॉक्सिंग वीकली प्लान बनाओ, और उसमें स्पेसिफिक टाइम आप अलोकेट कर दो कि 8 to 10 ये करना है, 10 to 10:30 रेस्ट करनी है, 10:30 से 12:30 ये करना है। इस तरह से करके आप ना एक टाइम बॉक्स बना लो। और जब आप कर रहे हो तो गिव क्वालिटी टाइम। व्हाट डू आई मीन बाय क्वालिटी टाइम? क्वालिटी टाइम से मतलब है कि उस समय नो फोन, नो व्हाट्सएप, नथिंग, नो डिस्ट्रैक्शन। आइडियली स्पीकिंग, यू शुड नॉट इवन बी लीविंग योर टेबल। और अगर टेबल छोड़ भी रहे हो तो जस्ट आफ्टर हाफ एन आवर, 25 मिनट्स और हाफ एन आवर, यू लीव द टेबल फॉर 2-3 मिनट्स, बट नेवर लीव द रूम। रूम छोड़ दिया तो देर इज अ गुड लाइकलीहुड दैट यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू कम बैक टू द टेबल, सो नेवर लीव द रूम। In the room, after every 25 minutes, you can take a 5 minute break, but come back to your chair and then get back to the job. So that kind of quality time. Do not even look at your mobile screen. कि कौन सा नोटिफिकेशन आया, क्या आया, डू नॉट इवन लुक एट दिस थिंग, ओके। सो दैट इज हाउ इट विल एक्चुअली बी प्लेइंग आउट, कि आप टाइम बॉक्स तो कर ही रहे हो, लेकिन यू आर कमिटिंग टू गिविंग वेरी वेरी हाई क्वालिटी ऑफ अटेंशन एंड एनर्जी टू द टास्क जिस पे आप अपना टाइम दे रहे हो। तो मेक एग्जीक्यूशन प्लान, बिकॉज देन इट विल स्टार्ट हैपनिंग, एंड देन स्ट्राइव फॉर कंसिस्टेंसी। 99% people are not consistent, therefore they are not reaching where they want to reach, right? तो उनके ड्रीम्स ड्रीम रह जाते हैं। सो ये सब कुछ कंसिस्टेंसी के कह लो कि इंडिकेटर्स हैं। आउट ऑफ 365 डेज, 300 डेज आपने अपने एजेंडे पे रहना है। दैट इज द फर्स्ट थिंग, राइट। सो आउट ऑफ 365 डेज, 300 डेज you have to be on your agenda minimum. Next is, in a month, at least 25 days you have to be on your agenda. So that is the next thing. और ये सब आपको इंप्लीमेंट करना है। अगर मंथ में आप 25 डेज अपने एजेंडा पे हो तो ऑटोमेटिकली पूरे साल में आप 360 प्लस 300 प्लस डेज में आप अपने एजेंडा पे रहेंगे। गिव मी वन मोमेंट। एंड देन वीक में आपको 6 डेज अपने एजेंडा पे रहना है, एंड यू हैव टू मेंटेन अ स्ट्रीक। 1 सेकेंड। एंड यू हैव टू मेंटेन अ स्ट्रीक। स्ट्रीक मीन्स कि आज कर लिया, कल कर लिया, तो ये चेन आपको ब्रेक नहीं करना है। आपको अगर ब्रेक करना भी है तो नेवर अलाउ अ गैप टू अकर फॉर 2 consecutive days। मान लो किसी भी रीजन से टुडे आई एम स्लाइटली अनवेल, ठीक है, टुडे आई एम नॉट ऑन माई एजेंडा, लेकिन कल तो कुछ भी करके मुझे आई हैव टू कम बैक टू माई एजेंडा। ठीक है, बिकॉज इफ यू डू नॉट प्लान योर डे, someone else or your circumstances will plan your day and that is very painful. तो इसलिए अगर ये स्ट्रीक का माइंडसेट हम रखते हैं कि अगर मेरा स्ट्रीक टूट भी गया, कंटिन्यूअसली कर रहे हैं, अगर टूट भी गया तो ये 2 दिनों के लिए नहीं टूटा रहना चाहिए। आई मीन आज टूट गया, टुमारो आई हैव टू बाउंस बैक। सो दैट इज व्हाट कंसिस्टेंसी। सो 300 days in a year, 25 days in a month, 6 days in a week, and we have to keep the streak mindset. Now, fifth one, limit your resources. This is a surefire way if you do not do this. So, this is a surefire way to, you know, work harder but perform poorer. So, always define your sources and work very well with them. Okay? बेसिक बुक्स का एक ही सेट होना चाहिए। आपको पता होना चाहिए कि इस एरिया में बेसिक इज एनसीईआरटी, सिंपल एज दिस। आपको यह पता होना चाहिए कि इस एरिया में बेसिक इज नॉट एनसीईआरटी। वो कौन सी बुक होगी वो भी आपको पता होनी चाहिए, राइट? सो बेसिक बुक का एक ही सेट होना चाहिए और कुछ नहीं होना चाहिए। कुछ एरिया ऐसे भी हो सकते हैं जहां पर बेसिक बुक की कोई जरूरत ही नहीं है, राइट? यू कैन स्ट्रेट अवे स्टार्ट। सो स्टार्ट कर लो, सीधी सी बात है। सेकंड इज स्टैंडर्ड बुक और हाई क्वालिटी कोचिंग नोट्स। सो इफ यू आर रिलाइंग ऑन बुक्स, सो वन सेट ऑफ एडवांस्ड बुक फॉर ईच सब्जेक्ट। आई अग्री कि किसी भी एक बुक में सारे के सारे टॉपिक बहुत अच्छे नहीं दिए होंगे, लेकिन बहुत बुरा भी नहीं दिया होगा। 90% टॉपिक बहुत अच्छे होंगे, 10% टॉपिक एवरेज या स्लाइटली अबव एवरेज होंगे। वहां पे सप्लीमेंट कर लेना आप, लेकिन डू नॉट बाई अ सेकेंड बुक। और अगर यू आर डूइंग कोचिंग एंड इफ यू आर कॉन्फिडेंट कि मेरी जो कोचिंग के नोट्स हैं दे आर हाई क्वालिटी, दे इनकॉर्पोरेट ऑल द गुड थिंग्स फ्रॉम स्टैंडर्ड सोर्सेज, देन स्टिक टू दैट। इट पेज नो वन कि आप कोचिंग भी कर रहे हैं और साथ में बुक्स भी खरीद रहे हैं और अल्टीमेटली ना तो आप ये अच्छे से पढ़ पा रहे हैं ना वो अच्छे से पढ़ पा रहे हैं। सो मिनिमाइज योर सोर्सेज हियर। देन आपको शुरू में डिसाइड करना है कि क्या मुझे रोज न्यूज़पेपर से करंट करना है या कंपाइलेशन से करना है। मेरा सजेशन है, आप इसको कंसिडर कर सकते हैं कि एवरी डे यू शुड स्पेयर एट लीस्ट हाफ एन आवर to newspaper reading. Ideally, it should be 1 hour. Okay. So every day try and spare 1 hour over and above your 10 hours. Okay. वो 10 hours में मैं include ही नहीं कर रहा. Over and above your 10 hours, every day spend 1 hour on newspaper. And in that 1 hour's time, your focus should be on 5 to 8 most important things which has come in the newspaper on that particular day. 1 घंटे में पूरी न्यूज़पेपर आप स्टडी नहीं कर सकते। और यहाँ पे सिविल्स की प्रिपरेशन कर रहे हैं तो हमें रीड नहीं करना, हमें स्टडी करनी है। 1 घंटे में पूरी न्यूज़पेपर स्टडी नहीं हो सकती। लेकिन अगर एवरी डे 5 to 6 मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग्स पे ही आप फोकस करते हो और उसके कुछ बुलेट में आप उसकी सिनॉप्सिस बना लेते हो, दैट इज मोर देन इनफ। तो फिर बाकी टॉपिक्स का क्या होगा? बाकी टॉपिक्स आप मंथली या वीकली कंपाइलेशंस में आप पाओगे। फ्रॉम नेक्स्ट मंथ फॉर 2025 आई एम कमिंग अप विद वीकली कंपाइलेशंस, सो दैट विल बी अवेलेबल। सो बाकी जितनी टॉपिक्स हैं, हर रोज 5 से 6 टॉपिक पर आप फर्स्ट हैंड अंडरस्टैंडिंग डेवलप करो। बाकी हेडलाइंस देख लो क्या है कैसे है, और उसके बाद आप रेस्ट यू शुड बी रिलाइंग ऑन कंपाइलेशन। न्यूज़पेपर से आपकी लैंग्वेज इंप्रूव होगी, न्यूज़पेपर से आपको एक ब्रॉडर कॉन्टेक्स्ट पता चलेगा तो आपकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग भी बेहतर होगी। ये दोनों ही बेनिफिट्स आपको मिलते हैं और अल्टीमेटली ना आप मेंस में ज़्यादा कॉन्फिडेंट फील करते हो। इंटरव्यू देते वक्त आपको नहीं लगता कि आप कुछ बहुत ज़्यादा लैग कर रहे हो। एंड लास्ट बट नॉट द लीस्ट, रेगुलर न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ते हैं तो हमारे एसे को भी एक अच्छा शेप मिलता है, बोथ इन टर्म्स ऑफ प्रेजेंटेशन या फिर हमारे लैटरल कनेक्शन के सेंस में हमें ऐसे में भी उसका बेनिफिट मिलेगा। तो न्यूज़पेपर आपने पढ़नी चाहिए। लेकिन वही है कि कोई एक न्यूज़पेपर और कोई एक कंपाइलेशन। ऑलवेज बी मेकिंग नोट्स। आइडियली जीएस में बहुत चीजें नई नई ऐड होती रहती हैं, तो जीएस में आप डिजिटल नोट बना सकते हैं। ऑप्शनल में हैंड रिटन नोट्स आपको बनाना चाहिए। दीज नोट्स आर वेरी फास्ट वे टू रिवाइज। अदरवाइज आप टेक्स्ट बुक और मटेरियल को नहीं रिवाइज कर पाएंगे। अगर रिवाइज ही नहीं किया तो एग्जामिनेशन में आप क्या परफॉर्म करेंगे? और प्रिपरेशन एडवाइस भी आपको लिमिटेड रखना चाहिए। आपको पता होना चाहिए कि हाँ, इनका यूट्यूब चैनल हमें फॉलो करना है, इनका भी यूट्यूब चैनल हमें फॉलो करना है, और एक ये वाला भी देखेंगे, उसके अलावा कुछ भी मत देखो आप, इट इज ओके, राइट। होता क्या है कि हम यूट्यूब पे जाते हैं, फिर एक वीडियो, दूसरा वीडियो, तीसरा वीडियो, और वो मोर और लेस हम अपने इंटरटेनमेंट के ट्रिप पे होते हैं, और हम उसको जस्टिफाई करते हैं ये सोच के कि नहीं, इसमें तो प्रिपरेशन की बात हो रही है। आप उस इल्यूजन में अपने आप को मत रखो। जस्ट मेक श्योर कि आप दो तीन लोगों के प्रिपरेशन एडवाइस को फॉलो कर रहे हो, जिससे कि आप अपनी स्ट्रेटजी को टाइम टू टाइम फाइन ट्यून कर रहे हो, नई टैक्टिक्स को सीख रहे हो। एंड वेन एवर यू आर वॉचिंग सच प्रिपरेशन एडवाइस वीडियोज, मेक श्योर कि आप नोट कर रहे हो। अगर आप नोट नहीं कर रहे हो तो वो इंटरटेनमेंट था, आप अपने आप को बस कह रहे थे कि आई एम ट्राइंग टू प्रिपेयर, बट दैट इज नॉट प्रिपरेशन, ओके। सो लिमिट अपने सोर्सेज को करिएगा, एंड यू शुड ट्राई टू मैक्सिमाइज द आउटकम ऑफ देम। कपल ऑफ एडिशनल पॉइंट्स। फाइनली, टेक डिसीजन फास्ट एंड मेक इट राइट। और जरूरत पड़ने पे थोड़ी मोरी फाइन ट्यूनिंग आप कर सकते हैं। कोचिंग लेनी है नहीं लेनी है, 5 दिनों में आप डिसाइड कर लो। यू नो कि बेनिफिट क्या है, यू नो कि इसके लिमिटेशंस क्या हैं। सो 5 दिनों में डिसाइड कर लो, कंसिडरिंग एवरीथिंग, नॉट मोर देन दैट। यस एंड नो के मोड में आप मत रहना, और बाद में जब आप सब्जेक्ट को लेके शेकी फील करो तब चले जाओ कोचिंग में। तब तक तो आपने अपना साल बिता दिया। अब आप 2025 की रेस से निकल के 2026 में चलेगा। वाई? बिकॉज आपने डिसीजन ले लिया, लेकिन लेट से लिया। नाउ इट सर्व्स नो पर्पस। सिमिलरली, कोचिंग लेनी है तो ऑनलाइन लेनी है, ऑफलाइन लेनी है, दोनों के अपने फायदे नुकसान हैं। और जब आपने डिसाइड कर लिया तो आप स्टिक करो एंड मेक दैट डिसीजन राइट, गेट द मैक्सिमम आउट ऑफ दैट। होम टाउन में रह के पढ़ना है या बिग सिटी दिल्ली, चेन्नई, हैदराबाद, बैंगलोर जाके पढ़ना है, राइट? वो डिसाइड करो। होम टाउन में भी रह के आप प्रिपेयर कर सकते हैं और क्रैक कर सकते हैं। सिमिलरली, जब कोचिंग की बात हुई तो आप सेल्फ स्टडी से भी क्रैक कर सकते हैं, अगर आप डिटर्मिन हैं, सबसे पहली बात है। और दूसरी बात कि आपको ये पता है कि क्या करना है और कैसे करना है। तीन ही चीजें चाहिए, आपका डिटर्मिनेशन चाहिए, आपको पता होना चाहिए कि आपको क्या करना है और कैसे करना है। चॉइस ऑफ बुक्स लिमिटेड, जो कि मैंने बताया, और उसके बाद उनसे स्टिक कर लो, कोई भी बुक बुरी नहीं होती। एंड मेनी मोर क्वेश्चंस दैट यू विल फेस। तो कभी भी ऐसा होता है तो अपने डिसीजन को डिसाइड ही कर लो कि एक दिन में ये डिसाइड कर लेना है, उसके बाद यू स्टिक विद दैट। एंड फाइनली, ये जर्नी लंबी है, विदाउट सेल्फ केयर यू विल नॉट बी गोइंग एनीवेयर, ओके। सो फिजिकल हेल्थ यू हैव टू टेक केयर ऑफ, रियली। ये कोई कह लो एल्डरली एडवाइस मैं नहीं दे रहा हूं आपको, ये लाइफ एक्सपीरियंस से मैंने सीखा है। बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स को भी मैंने ये इम्प्लीमेंट करते हुए देखा। फिजिकल हेल्थ के 3-4 पिलर्स हैं, यू हैव टू मेक श्योर कि आप हर चीज़ को ध्यान दे रहे हैं। 7 to 8 आवर्स की स्लीप सबके लिए ज़रूरी है फॉर पीक मेंटल परफॉर्मेंस। गुड न्यूट्रिशन, good balanced meal, 2 to 3 meals a day is good enough. Don't eat junk food. Try to eat balanced meal. Don't eat more than 3 times. So good nutrition. And next is movement. Try to move at least 40 to 50 minutes a day. If nothing, brisk walk will do, or maybe a combination of brisk walk for half an hour, 20 minutes, 25 minutes of just general free hand exercise. It will increase your mental resilience, it will increase your focus, it will increase your retention and memory also. I have experienced it firsthand. Emotional well-being is no less important. Uh, Throughout this journey, there will be many things which will make you feel low. You don't have to, you have to identify कि देखो ये signal is making me feel emotionally low, I have to come out of this thing. In a similar fashion, there will be many people who will try to belittle you, who will try to demotivate you, who will try to scare you and all of that. It is nice to stay away from those people. Plus, cultivate meaningful friends. डोंट लिसन टू एनीवन जो ये कहता है कि पूरी तरह से आइसोलेट और इंसुलेट होकर आप यूपीएससी की तैयारी कर सकते हो। That is a lie. It is a marathon. It is not a sprint. And in a marathon, your context matters. So surround yourself with good and positive set of friends, good and positive set of seniors. Keep in touch with them, and that will keep you in good emotional health. Anything that impacts you badly, try to stay away from that. Every day, every hour, remind yourself ये सब कुछ क्यों कर रहे हो और ये साल किस चीज़ पे डेडिकेटेड है. That will come back, that will make you come back to योर मेन टास्क। सो वो डिसिप्लिन आपको चाहिए। एवरी डे, एवरी वॉक एन आवर आपको अपने आप को ये रिमाइंड करना होगा। इफ़ यू वांट 1 आवर का आप टाइमर लगा दो, जब सुबह जगते हो उसके बाद जस्ट क्लीन योर सेल्फ, एक्सरसाइज, ब्रेकफास्ट, ये सब करके उसके बाद 1 आवर के टाइमर पे हर घंटे बस एक ही चीज़ बतानी है अपने आप को कि आई एम क्लियरिंग 2025 एग्जामिनेशन। Don't say I'm preparing for 2025 examination. Tell yourself I'm clearing 2025 examination, right? तो am I acting as if I'm going to clear या नहीं? तो बस अपने आप से दो ही सवाल। पहला तो अपने आप को बोल दो कि मुझे 2025 में क्लियर करना है, उसी के लिए मैं हूं। और उसके बाद पूछो कि am I acting accordingly, या लेट्स से कि मुझे 2025 के लिए प्रिपेयर करना है और मैं 1 घंटे से यूट्यूब पे लगा पड़ा हूँ, राइट? तो वो नहीं होना चाहिए। So that discipline is there. Lastly, your social life, made up of your family members, your friends, your peers. That social life will keep you positive, will give you the resilience, and this is no less important. It will be contributing to your emotional well-being. Keep all of these things in mind, and you will be getting through this so-called hard examination in your very first attempt if you are keeping in mind these things, if you are executing the things that we have just now discussed. I will be detailing a couple of aspects in like in my forthcoming videos, but I think this gives you sufficient roadmap. And like always, I believe that you have gotten some value out of this video. Please stay with this series, and I will try to steer your 2025 journey in the right direction through each of such videos. Goodbye and good luck to all of you.